I got my first place. I'm 29 years old. I'm having my Saturn return. And if you've been keeping up with me, you have been kind of watching that process unfold, even unknowingly, in real time. I did my best to just kind of let everything play out and actually manifest before I just went to the internet and shouted to the mountains. Honestly, for me, it's sensitive. So I'm proud of myself, but at the same time, it's sensitive to me because I feel like I'm a late bloomer. So a lot of things that I am manifesting, it's coming to me much, much later than it has people that I used to be friends with or my people who were my peers in high school. There's people that I went to high school with that are certified lawyers and doctors and luxury cars and nice high-rise apartments and all of this stuff. They've got land. They've lived all over the United States, done a bunch of foreign travel. Hey, this is all just a distant perception. You don't know what someone's life is really like until you sit down with them and really get to know them and hear their story. Just because you've done all those things, it doesn't mean that you're not still learning and you don't still have growth to do. So again, I say all those things with a grain of salt. I'm just being honest that I'm super proud of myself. At the same time, I'm also just sensitive. I'm sensitive about it being my first time and definitely just been kind of like in a protective space just in general because I am wrapping up my Saturn return in about another year. Saturn will be going into Aries around June 15th of 2027, and that's going to be very interesting. Spirit already dropped some downloads off to me the other day about that. But anyway, we're not going to jump that far into the astrology calendar because we got enough going on with this eclipse season alone, okay? As I wrap up my Saturn return, I would say that I'm more sensitive because of my Saturn return. I would just say that I'm more honest about my feelings. I'm more authentic about myself. We can preach and preach and preach about authenticity and not being fake, but a lot of times we don't realize that the fakeness and the inauthenticity, it starts when you lie to yourself. It starts when you withhold things from yourself. It starts when you don't allow yourself to express things that you need to get out. And even with that, give yourself grace because all of those behaviors, all of those coping mechanisms or whatever, that was passed down to you. Maybe it was from a caregiver, maybe it was from anybody that you spent a large amount of time with in your developmental years or in your childhood. A lot of those things were taught to you. Going back to a message I gave for Sidereal Scorpio in the eclipse readings for the new moon eclipse. A lot of us were conditioned. So if you're conditioned over and over and over again that this is how you're supposed to handle this situation, then that's just going to be your natural way of doing things, right? So we can't beat ourselves up, but we can recognize the pattern and we can do better, right? And that's all I've been trying to do, especially as I process the final year of my Saturn return, is kind of just saying like, hey, enough is enough. It's certain things, especially with me being a Saturn and Pisces, a water sign Saturn, it's certain things I'm tired of crying about. It's certain things that I'm tired of getting agitated about. You have to figure out how to get to the root of things and how to create real, true solutions for yourself. This is something that I've been waiting to talk about, so I guess I need to go ahead and get it out while I'm on the topic. True self reflection is not responding or reacting to things, people, situations that you don't like. And this is the lesson that has really developed over this summer for me. Cancer is represented by a lot of things. One of the things that represents Cancer, though, is the mirror. Cancer may also show up in hoodoo or diasporic religions as like at Oshun and Yemaya, Urzuli Dantor or Urzuli Freda. It will show up as, a feminine deity that has a mirror. But what these divine feminine deities, what the divine mother is really trying to get you to see in that mirror is yourself, and really even deeper than that. It's really about being able to take responsibility for your life, like as much as you can. That can be really, really hard, especially when you may have never truly had the support you needed in the first place. I just told you guys my story, and a lot of times in my life, I beat myself up. Oh, well, I'm not as far as this person, or I don't have this yet or that yet. But then when I think about how I basically had an absent father and I had a single mom who did as much as she could do without maybe exhausting herself completely, things were limited. And yes, I had help from my grandmothers, or grandparents rather, mostly my grandmothers though. I really had limited resources. I had limited help financially. I just said this in another video. For much of my teenage years, I was kind of a parentified child, and even before that. But I have a younger brother who's about 10 years younger than me. When I wasn't at school and my mom was at work, I was taking care of him. I'm still a kid, and so when you take care of other people and when you're put in situations to solve problems for other people, whether it be another child, whether it be a parent, whoever it is, what that teaches you is to, take care of everybody else but yourself. And so you know how to solve problems and fix problems for everybody but yourself. A really big lesson for me this year has been really understanding what self-reflection is. And a lot of people think that self-reflection is I don't really know what a lot of people think self-reflection is. I ain't even gonna go into that, but I will say I just think that people have a shallow definition of self-reflection. And I want to share a realization that I got while journaling, while planning to move out my mom's house a couple months ago. Going back to the mirror. Let's say that you are a mirror for so many people, right? And so a mirror can represent, like I said, being a caretaker, a caregiver, or just simply you are the person that other people, maybe it's in your family, your friend group, your job, you're the person that other people look at to maybe gauge a response or temperature check a situation, right? And so when you're constantly mirroring people or you're constantly deflecting things that maybe aren't even about you, right? Sometimes our self-reflection work stops at a shallow surface level because we can't get beyond the external. I want to demonstrate how oftentimes something comes to you, whether it may be a projection, an event, a situation, a circumstance, it comes to you. You react or respond to send something back out to the person, circumstance, situation that affected you, and you're sending it back out. That is reflection. That's reflection. Self-reflection, however, and this is what I mean by shallow. Some people's self-reflection stops at, why did I do that? Why did I respond that way? Why did I react that way? What did it mean when they did that to me and I did that to them? And that's where some people's self-reflection stops. I'm here to tell you that it goes deeper. How you get deeper in your self-reflection is that when the thing comes to you, whatever it may be, instead of letting it stop right here at the surface, wherever that surface is, the surface of the mirror, and you sending back out a reaction or a response, let it go all the way through. Let that situation, circumstance, or place go all the way through, and you examine and create a true solution, not just a reaction or a response, a true solution for yourself. And this involves way more than just asking yourself, why did you do what you did? Why did they do what they did? Why did you respond that way? Was that the right response? Should I have said that? Should they have said that? It goes deeper than that. Let me give you a few examples. And I guess I'll just, since we're on the topic of me moving out, okay, I'm finally talking about it. I have been really struggling with the relationship with my mom for a couple years now, and really honestly way before that. To put it frankly, my mom kind of raised me to be like her best friend, like her pocket-sized best friend. But as I've gotten older, that has very much revealed itself to be a toxic codependency. And don't get me wrong, there are times where I feel like my mom is my best friend too, and we do have a great bond. We have a deep relationship, but there are stark differences between me and her that sometimes she does not want to realize that, hey, we're not the same person. You're not me, I'm not you, and it's like she kind of lost herself a little bit. I've been losing my mom for a while now, and she lost herself back in 20 years ago when she was widowed in her mid-20s. And I feel like she suffers with a lot of denial because of that grief, and she never went to therapy long term, or really ever. She never got medication or a prescription to really help her cope or balance out her emotions and her brain, because grief can chemically alter your brain. So even though I love my mom so dearly, there are some things that are unprocessed in her journey that she really has to face on her own, because you can't make yourself responsible for someone else's healing. You can share with them all the tips and tricks, and you can tell your story a million times. You can share what you're learning. These are things I've done. And they may implement some of them, but you can't force someone to do their work. when someone is in denial about themselves, then they start thinking that it's you, right? They start thinking their problems are your problems. And it's just everything gets mixed up and confusing. And when you're clear on yourself and you know who you are, I feel like I have a pretty strong sense of identity. And I'm still developing myself, but there needed to be a separation. Seriously. Because it was getting to a point where I was literally about to lose my mind continuing to live with my mom. She was getting so caught up in trying to emulate me. But I felt a lot of times that because my mom kind of like has lost herself over time, and because of the grief that she endured, because of not properly caring for herself, she kind of like, almost tries to destiny swap me. Imagine living with someone who's trying to destiny swap you all the time, and it's like I said, that's very codependent and it's toxic because everything I do is not a initiation point for you to now go do it. You need to know, you need to have a sense of yourself, and you need to have a sense of independence outside of anybody, not just me. So this here is an example of too much reflection, right? When you are too close to someone to the point where you can't even see yourself. You're so focused on someone, you're so focused on either them reflecting you or you reflecting them. You're so focused on that now you've lost sight of yourself. Okay? And this is a form of destiny swapping. It's also a form of control and manipulation. The point of me bringing up this situation with my mom is that I got really, really tired of explaining myself to my mom. I got really, really tired of crying my eyes out, begging her to stop competing with me and doing everything I'm doing and acting like she thought of it out of thin air when clearly I just did the same thing the other day. All kind of situations that I'm not gonna get into publicly, or even just maybe not at this time. The point being is I already spent so many years responding, reacting, and explaining myself to my mom over and over and over and over and over again, right? So something's happening and I'm sending it back. Something's happening and I'm sending it back. Something's happening and I'm sending it back. And at a certain point, it's draining. So there needs to be a deeper process of self-reflection, which this is when real solutions emerge. The solution to my living situation, right? And this could be you, all right? Solution to your living situation is not for you to tear the house up, fuss and fight, argue back and forth, explain yourself, cry yourself to sleep every night, whatever else you can think of. All of those things are reactions and responses. The true solution is what you really need. The true solution is what's best for you. The true solution is not really based on the temporary. It's not really based on, I really need to get my journal out to really properly describe what I really want to say. The question is, what is anything that you experience, anything that you're going through, what is it telling you about yourself at its core? This is how we get into deep self-reflection, not the surface level reflection, none of that, because that focuses on the external, that focuses more on the problem. But when you have a deep self-reflection, it allows you to focus on the solution. Deepening your self-reflection, it may actually seem a little dramatic at first, and it may even come across very cutthroat. But what this deeper version of self reflection does is it teaches you how to truly take responsible for yourself. It teaches you how to be a mirror for yourself. It teaches you how to really, really see your needs at their core, not dressed up with all the emotions and all the explanations. Okay, so I'm gonna give a couple more examples, right? Because these are things that we deal with collectively on a regular basis. And if you're like me, if you get caught in draining cycles of reacting, responding, and over explaining yourself, you really, really need to pay attention to this part of the video, because this is a download, this is a tool that you can write down, or you can save this video, whichever is easier for you, to implement into your life. And some of you guys may already do stuff like this and you didn't even realize, oh, I didn't know I was self-reflecting, right? But now you know you're actively creating solutions for your life because you're able to look past the surface level of just bouncing things off of you, or deflecting things so that you're not internalizing it. Because there's a lot of, so right now, especially with all these water signs in the air, and water signs, I mean Saturn and Pisces, which is currently retrograde, and of course Jupiter in Cancer, but also we still have like some Cancer transits lingering from Cancer season. I don't know, I need to check on that. But there's a lot of people right now who are really exposing themselves, and I hate to use the word exposing because a lot of times we think that people are exposing themselves, but they've been like that. They've been like that, and maybe you're just now realizing it. Maybe you're just being real. Maybe you're finally being real with yourself. But there's some people who enjoy rage baiting you. There's certain people who, once they find out what triggers you, they literally want to hijack your nervous system so that they can get you addicted to being triggered. And so what happens when you become addicted to being triggered is that you develop a dark obsession, right? And we all can develop dark obsessions. However, what happens when you don't face the fact that you've become addicted to the trauma, the triggers, the drama, the BS, is that you end up participating in negative feedback loops that really don't serve you, that keep you trapped, that stagnate you, that distract you, and you'll just go through your life on a hamster wheel of negativity. And then you'll become so numb to it that you stop responding and you stop reacting. You begin to internalize it, and then you just say, oh, well, that's just how people treat me, or woe is me, or that's just how my life is. And yeah, some of that stuff can be true, but at the same time, what I'm trying to show you in this video is that anything that you don't like, even the slightest bit, can be changed. Like, for example, I'm gonna put it up on the screen. Okay, because it's going to be one of our examples. My favorite nail shop, where in the town that I live in, grew up in, lived in basically my whole life, I had to stop going to it because they sliced my finger open maybe 2 years ago. They sliced my finger open when filing my nails so freaking fast. Okay, like there's no reason. Nobody else is in the nail shop. It's just me. But you rushing? What are you rushing for? Right? It's not like the nail tech didn't know who I was. I was a regular at that point. You're filing my nails so fast that you sliced my damn finger open. They still made me pay full price for the service. And all they did was apologize and say, "Oh, I'm sorry. You can wash your hands." You just sliced my finger open. Like, are you serious? It wasn't giving. And then after that, I continued to go, and I was like, I did tell the nail tech one time, I was like, "Can you go a little slower, But for some reason, this nail tech they just like to do nails so fast. And so I'm not going to keep asking you over and 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 over again to slow the hell down. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go find another nail shop. Okay? That's how you solve that. And that's a small, teeny tiny example of taking responsibility for yourself and your life and the life that you want to create. Because at a certain point, when you're constantly reacting, constantly responding, constantly explaining yourself to anyone or any circumstance or situation or environment, that then becomes an effort to control or manipulate the person or the situation. You give yourself freedom, and you give whatever entity, party on the other side, you give them freedom as well when you just choose you and you take responsibility for you, and you're not trying to get them to twist and bend to your needs. Even if your intention is pure, it can still become an act of manipulation and an act of control when you can't just put that energy towards yourself, and when you can't just do what's best for you. Because this is how you begin to totally shift your life. So let's say you're stressed out with your work environment, or whatever type of job you have. The reaction and the response, which is where most of us stop at, is going to be, "Oh, I'm going to go off on my manager, or I'm going to go talk to HR, or I'm going to not go to work for a couple days," right? And don't get me wrong, this is not to say that there are not steps or increments that you have to take before you make a big decision. But the whole point is, a lot of us get stuck in a loop of small reactions, small responses, and honestly, pettiness. And so we never really get to shift our lives. We never level up our lives. We miss the manifestation window because we're so busy caught up in the negative loop. The solution to your stress or whatever problems you have at work is not to go complain to HR over and over again, argue with management over and over again, or explain yourself to management or your coworkers or whatever staff over and over again. The solution is to go find a better job with what you want, with better pay. That's the solution, right? That's where the level up is. That's putting yourself first. That's centering your needs. That's centering the solution. And that's deepening your self-reflection. because then you're able to see not just the present moment and what the problem is pulling out of you, but you're also able to intuitively know when it's time. Hey, I gotta level up on the way. Yeah, it's time for me to shift. It's time for me to change. It's time for me to pivot. You're able to intuitively discern those things by deepening your self-reflection, going beyond the responses, the reactions, beyond bouncing or deflecting problems or projections off of you. You're going deeper. You have to then evaluate yourself. Why are you being so petty? Why are you know what I'm saying? Like, what is the true solution to all the back and forth, all the drama, all the negativity, all the crime? What's the true solution? Real solutions allow us to shift out of spaces that are harming us, because if something continuously happens, that means that you're probably being blatantly disrespected and blatantly ignored, right? Nobody's perfect. Anybody is liable to offend you. Anybody is liable to trigger you. But if you have made it known, like I said, reactions and responses are not insignificant. But when you're repetitively reacting and responding to the same triggers that you've already addressed, then now you become a bigger problem than the problem itself. I want to touch back on dark obsessions a little bit before ending this video. I talked about a little bit earlier that when we're not aware of something that we may have become darkly obsessed with, and remember, I'm using the word dark to describe our subconscious mind, okay? So subconsciously you can become obsessed with something that you don't like. This is honestly the way the enemy works. A lot of us become obsessed with being hated or ostracized for something. We have a dark obsession with not belonging or not fitting in. And the true desire is that you do want to belong, you do want to fit in, but you may also want to preserve maybe some unique parts of yourself, or you want to preserve some level of independence, in the environment, in the situation, in the relationship. Of a person who is contrarian, or a person who always against everything, this person has a dark obsession with being the oddball, with being disliked, being hated. And so it doesn't matter how much somebody does, how much somebody explains whatever it is that they like about the person, they're going to find a way to be like, well, it's just because this, it's just because that, I'm not liked because of this, I'm not liked because of that, I'm not liked because, and it's like, okay, well, now you're just making stuff up. You purposely create situations, or you put yourself in situations where you are rejected, where you are left out. We have to examine, do we ourselves have a dark obsession? Do we have a dark obsession with getting worked up, getting emotional? I think for me personally, I had to realize, because my grandma, anytime I talk to her about something, she always tells me this, and it took me a minute to kind of realize what she was saying. But I do get worked up a lot by certain situations, and sometimes it takes me a little while to get over stuff, and that's okay. I think that's human, but at the same time, it's like, this is a part of me fixing my thinking, fixing my programming. But you do have to get deeper and realize that, okay, wait, I'm a little bit obsessed with the problem. And so, yes, you do have to undo some conditioning, right? You do have to undo some of those repressed, dark, dense, and heavy emotions that I've been talking about for a while. You have to get deeper and you have to realize that's not how I want to operate anymore, so that you can shift and you can always be in a space of knowing what's not for you. And you can always be ready to receive your blessing. You can always be ready to receive your level up. You can always be ready to receive your soul tribe. Even if it's not a whole new set of people, but it might be just a new member. One going out the door, another one coming in. Hey, I don't resonate anymore. And it's okay that we fell out, but I'm not going to go back and forth with you about a falling out. I'm just going to wait for this new person that is the friend that I really need, partner I really need, whatever it may be. Don't become a manipulator, okay? Don't become bigger than the problem itself by getting caught in reactions and responses and clapping back. And you think that is a solution. You think that, oh, well, I'm just matching energy. Okay, yeah, you are, but for how long though? Because instead of doing that, you could go deeper and get the breakthrough. You could go deeper and realize, hey, Spirit is talking to me in this situation. Spirit is trying to reveal something to me in this situation. But I gotta really, really look past the surface level of it to really see what this is really directing me towards. Guys, I hope to see you in the next video, or I hope you're seeing me. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.